Hello, and welcome to the Plantain Apps Low-Code Campfire for Friday, February 14th, 2025. I'm Patrick Anderson. I'm standing in today for Dale Warner, who is otherwise occupied today. And so today is our Valentine's Day episode. Nothing different, but just we're recognizing that. The Low-Code Campfire is a community gathering that occurs once a week, most weeks of the year, for the Plantain App community, where we share ideas with each other and we come to get advice from others about a challenge we might be experiencing. So we encourage everyone to bring something to show off or a question that you have to get ideas from others. We record all of our episodes, and they are posted on YouTube at our Plantain Apps YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/plantainapp. You can scan this QR code here to subscribe. And that's a really great idea because you get notifications when the episodes are posted, and you can search the episodes to go back and find things that you found useful in the past. Our agenda is always pretty simple. We'll go around the campfire and introduce ourselves, and then we'll do a first call, and we'll look at any new contributions to the Campfire website or the community. And sometimes we get to the dark corners and ghost stories as well. And then we adjourn, and everyone's welcome to stay on after the recording stops, and we can have a less formal gathering. So we encourage you to submit questions ahead of time if you would like, and you can scan this QR code to do so. And with that, I'll go ahead and jump into the introductions. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Patrick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How was everybody on Valentine's Day?
Feeling spiffy.
Great.
Spiffy's good.
Yeah. Well, I'll move into the first call. Does anybody have anything that's burning that they want to run by everyone?
I do.
All right, Matt, let's go for it.
Okay, so I actually have three different things, but I don't want to take up the whole time here. The one question I have to lead off is there's a table in SQL called DNN Sharp User Management Auto Login Links.
Mm-hmm.
That's where obviously the login links are stored. I use login links for this one particular app all the time. So it's growing and growing and growing. Is it permissible simply to go in and eliminate, let's say, dates, items that have a end date that is, out of date, so to speak, so that's no longer functional? Is there any downside to that or thoughts?
No, I think that's okay. It's meant as a log, but I also think that I need to check this, but I feel like that there's isn't there an option in the action to
overwrite? Yeah.
Yeah, to overwrite. Yes, the overwrite option. That's what I was thinking about. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't always do that because of the circumstances, because depending upon how people come in and there's a bunch of other considerations. But yeah, so I do that. But that basically, you say that's just a log? Or
well, no, I mean it does it's used but only for the time frame that you have that login link is valid. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So I can feel safe to just go get rid of the ones that I think are extraneous.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll yield the floor and if somebody else has something.
Yeah, and if anybody else has any more comments on that or wants to disagree with me, I'm open to that too. But I would feel comfortable doing that myself. Any other anything else that somebody wants to bring to the table? Matt, you're raising your hand again.
Well, like I said, I don't want to hog it, but
Go ahead.
so Trumbowyg. I had recently experienced a phenomena where it was essentially breaking my reports because of the way it was handling HTML. And I've got a bit of a show and tell just to two things. One, get everybody's eyeballs on this to make sure I'm not doing something incorrect. And also just I think I'm all good, but it's just not, it's behaving in a fashion that I don't think is appropriate. And I shall continue.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
okay, if possible, would it be possible for me to share my screen?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Okay. All right. Share screen. Where did they move that? Oh, there you go. Oh, someone else is sharing.
Oh, that's me. Yes, I'm sorry. I need to stop sharing first, don't I? There we go. Good.
All right. So, okay. So it, here's the here's the result of this query, and it has to do particularly with this column, in this case, category name. Okay. So when I go in to edit this particular category name, which is innovative problem solving, well, let's just take this, and all of the fields in Trumbowyg get wrapped with a paragraph tag, even though inside the database there is not necessarily a paragraph tag. You'll see there's none there, there is one there, there's none here and here. These, when this gets wrapped in a paragraph tag, it breaks my report. Okay, so if I go in here, let me take the ampersand out because that was just another test. If I go in here and remove the paragraph tag while in HTML and update, back here, innovative problem solving has just text in there. That's what I want. If I go into here and edit this, and all I do, I don't have to change anything. Well, first of all, you'll see that
Yeah.
it's wrapped in paragraph tags. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me just update without changing anything, and I think that's going to blow this up. Okay, so it wraps it in paragraph tags. I didn't do anything other than look at it and swap back. To me, that's really unpredictable behavior. Is there something that I can or should set inside the Trumbowyg settings that will defeat that? I've tried stripping. There's a one option in here where you can strip out the paragraph tags, but then it takes the content with it. Basically, everything inside the paragraph tags goes, which means I've got no category description, which is not what I want.
Is there
Thoughts on?
for that category field, is there a specific a reason why you're using a rich text editor for the field?
Well, that's another question. Yes, and my next step here is to eliminate the rich text editor for that reason. But there are other instances where I do want it, but most importantly, I want to be able to have the behavior consistent and predictable. And that's really the heart and soul of this question. If it's going to not randomly, but consistently insert things like paragraph tags when I don't expect it, that's a problem. If I went into any one of these category names and just simply, touched them and saved, they would get wrapped in paragraph tags, which in this case breaks the report that I'm using. So,
Yep. So I don't know if anybody noticed me chuckle just a second ago, but I
you were
knew
laughing at
there.
me, Patrick?
No,
Really?
not at all. I'm laughing at you'll appreciate this when I tell you it.
Yep.
I went into our internal ticketing system because I wanted to I knew that there was a ticket about this,
hmm
and I found it, and it's something that we have in the backlog, and the last update on the ticket says added Matt Croshaw to the list of people annoyed by this. So, and that was Dale. Dale put that note in. So it's in our backlog to take a look at, and it's not fixed yet.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was not missing anything important.
I don't know if we've talked about possible workarounds. I don't know if anybody has any ideas that jump to their head as a possible workaround.
Well, I do. I mean, two things. One, there you can write SQL to basically go look for and strip out the HTML tags.
Yeah, sure.
Right. But in my case, I'm simply going to drop back and punt and switch out of the HTML editor and just make plain text. And that in this particular instance will be sufficient. Obviously, for other people in other instances, that's not necessarily a good option. But in my case, it's just fine. So, but I wanted to, like I said, make sure that I wasn't missing something and somebody else had a fix or a switch setting that I wasn't aware of.
No, this is we've definitely talked about it before. It's an ongoing thing, and we have a ticket in our development backlog about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I see Ben on the list of people here, and I'm pretty sure that Ben has approached this already. Ben, can you comment? You changed the options of the editor or something like that?
I have dealt with something similar to this. But if memory serves, what basically I did, there is no option to turn that behavior off. There's an option, if I'm not mistaken, to prevent editing the existing HTML. But that was to the old DNN WYSIWYG editor. I don't know about the Trumbowyg one, if there is a option for that. However, what I've done in this situation is similar to what Matt basically said. I wrote code in SQL so that when it gets submitted, it basically searches for that p tag. And if the string starts with p tag, ends with a p tag, and there's only one p tag in the entire string, then it just trims that p tag out. So I just basically do a substring starting right after the p tag and right before the end p tag comes to play, because that basically means there's only one paragraph in the whole entire thing and it's superfluous.
That makes sense.
I'll take a look and see if this Trumbowyg has a similar option to the DNN WYSIWYG to see if you could turn off the HTML auto editing. I don't know if there is such a feature, but I'll take a look. I'll let you know what I found.
Yes, thank you.
That actually sounds familiar to me. I know that we've all approached this before, and I'm pretty sure that I approached it quite a few times. And I came back to, I think if I remember correctly, I remember just disabling that field and going with a large text or something that doesn't change my formatting. But I do remember the thought that there was an option that could be flipped that could turn that off, but maybe I might be associating that with a different editor.
Yeah, I'm not recalling that
Yeah.
with Trumbowyg offhand, but there's a lot of nice things about Trumbowyg because I like the simplicity of the HTML, but that particular thing is a frustrating.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in here, switches, tags to remove and tags to keep. The tags to remove would be, you put in your paragraph marks and say, okay, it's going to get rid of them. Well, the problem with it, as I think I mentioned earlier, is that it gets rid of everything between the opening and closing paragraph.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah. That's the yep.
I was hoping it would just strip the tags, but evidently not.
And I guess you've probably tested the tags to keep option and it does the same thing. It gets rid of entire blocks of the tags that are not kept. I was wondering, Matt, if you had tested the tags to keep option also?
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
answering you, but I had
Oh,
my
okay.
mic muted.
okay.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it doesn't do the job, insofar as I can tell.
I'm looking at this and not sharing it. It should be over here where we can all see it.
Okay, so I just typed this into ChatGPT and it said yes, there's a way to prevent it. It's still writing.
The problem is, do we have a way of implementing it into this field? That's without the I think that once that gets prioritized for development, which I would hope it we'd be able to do it sometime. That I'm sure that a developer can alter the code of the field to either make this an option or to make it not do that at all. But
Mark, I think what you're sorry, I thought you were done, Patrick.
oh, as I say, separate from that, I'm not sure if we would have a way of implementing it if it was there. But yeah, go ahead, Ben. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, I think what you were remembering, Mark, is what I did, and yeah, this was in the DNN editor. I created my own tag called protected. And then if I start my code with protected, end the code with the slash protected, anything in between those tags will not be touched. So it will remain as typed. So that's how I prevented the DNN editor, which is the CK editor, I think is what they're using. That's how you prevent the CK editor from mucking around with what you've typed in to the system as your own code or whatever. I don't believe that the Trumbowyg has anything similar to that. Not that I have been able to find. So, I mean, that's the only other option as I can suggest is to switch instead of using Trumbowyg, use the DNN editor, but then create like what I did is that protected tag. Then what you basically would end up doing is when you load the data into the control, you prepend protected and append the slash protected at the end so that when it loads with that code, meaning that it will not touch it again. So the editor won't muck around with it. And then when you save it, just take out the protected tags and then it'll just save what's in between.
Yeah, I do remember that discussion, Ben.
Yeah, that's familiar now too. And I wonder if you could do a variation of that, Matt. When you fill that field from SQL, you could put something at the beginning, something at the end, and then when you save it, you could just remove everything that happened to the left of the beginning and to the right of the end.
Yeah.
And ChatGPT did come back with some JavaScript that's supposed to disable that. I pasted it in the chat window for you.
Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. Yeah.
Patrick, you see that? Where would you put that JavaScript? Do you have an idea? when the form gets loaded, maybe.
Well, prevents pasting with unwanted formatting. Okay.
While Patrick's looking at that, the option there, the remove formatted paste option, if you implement it just simply by that checkbox, what that does is gives you the ability to clean up, horrible code that comes pasted out of Word, which I've also had an
Yeah.
issue with elsewhere. But I don't know if this particular case with this JavaScript will do the job, so to speak.
Yeah, because the concern is what it does on save, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's actually not on save,
Oh,
it's on load.
no. Yeah, it's on load.
Oh, it adds the paragraph tags on load, right? And then when you
Yeah,
save
when
it,
you
they're
load the
there.
data
Yeah,
into
yeah.
it, that's when the paragraph tags are being added in. If you typed whatever you wanted in there and hit save, Trumbowyg tends to just accept what you put in. But the next time you load that page and it loads up the data, for whatever reason, it decides it's going to encapsulate the whole thing in paragraph tags.
Well, yes and no, Ben. You're correct that it does wrap whatever plain text you've got stored in the database in paragraph tags. The thing that is odd from a behavioral standpoint is it only saves those tags if you do something to touch the field. You know what I mean? So I can have plain text, in this case, the category name, open the form and it comes in with wrapped in paragraph tags on screen. If I don't do anything in that field, don't touch it, don't switch it to HTML mode or anything, and then save it, as long as I don't do anything to it, the paragraph tags, even though they're on screen, don't get saved, which is odd behavior. If they always did one thing or another, it would be much easier to handle, but it's inconsistent, and I think that's really the heart and soul of it.
As soon as you said that, Matt, just now, I am remembering. I'm pretty sure I have a ticket from, it could be as much as 2 years ago, saying that exact thing where if I do anything in there, then it gets saved, but if I don't do anything in there, it doesn't get saved, and that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Weird behavior.
So it. Okay. Oh yeah. Sure enough, nothing there. Okay. So then if I edit this, you're saying just edit it and just update
Don't
it
even
without.
what no, okay. If you go ahead and update now, it should not do anything to that field.
That's interesting.
Now, if
So
you
you
go
actually,
back, just
so
go back and
if I just put my cursor in, then it will, right?
Yep. Yep.
Oops, that's a new one. Edit.
Just click in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Now update it. And it will probably come back with.
Sure enough. Yep. That's all it took.
Yep.
So you have to touch the field, and that's
Yep.
what adds. So actually, touching the field just adds the paragraph tags.
The number of support calls we got on this is crazy.
And
but
I'm
yeah.
not sure that I don't think that the JavaScript is going to deal with this from what I'm seeing. The JavaScript that you sent, Mark. But I think the idea though of handling it, on save, with some sort of like you guys were suggesting, something that gets put in, so that that you remove an extra tag, that you remove everything, that tag and everything before it, and the closing tag and everything after it. That sounds like a whenever you save, I think that sounds like a good approach, and whatever's in between is what gets saved.
That might qualify for a ghost story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there is a that's the best I can say is that there's an existing ticket, and I will commit to updating the ticket, saying that this topic once again, because this is I certainly couldn't begin to count, but I know this is multiple times that we've had this same discussion in this same group over time. So I'll recognize that we have definitely talked about this. I would say probably 4 times at least, if not more. So I will update that same ticket and put it out there that it's still very frustrating.
Thanks, Patrick.
Anybody else have anything to discuss? Not, I'll move along here and we'll talk
Before
about
you
Dennis
go,
for a
Patrick,
second. Oh, okay, back.
this is sorry. This is more of a question than anything.
Yeah.
We talked about this before where you have JavaScript code that when someone clicks a button, it automatically updates the database via the API. I think you use it in the Academy. Is that out on Campfire anywhere, that just like sample code that I could take a look at, or
I think
something
we
like
have
that?
something. Let me see. I'm guessing that we do, but mm, nope. Maybe this one. Let's see what this looks like. Yep, we have an unchanged click binding here. That's not what I was thinking about. Nope, this is not it. Okay. I would guess that we have something like that in here somewhere. Does anybody offhand know of a contribution that they've made, or?
No, I didn't do one like that.
How about that is not going to be it, I don't think. Ben, we're looking for an example of using an API to on a bind change, just that we can. I mean, I can show an example, but I was hoping that we had something here. But if not, we'll definitely have to put one up here.
To call an API?
Yeah, to call an API with JavaScript in an on-change bind.
Oh yeah. Let me find one. Hold on.
No, I mean, I was looking for specifically in Campfire. I can find an example to share, but and I'll do
Yep.
that now. I'll just use my example from the Academy.
Yeah, so basically what I'm looking to do is eliminate the submit button, or minimize it at least.
Mm-hmm. Say that again. Oh, to avoid having to submit, right? Yep. So take this Easiest way to get to where I want to go.
So while he's getting ready, I'm just going to add that you could also do the same thing by hiding your submit button and calling it with code. That way you get your whole action stack and you can do all your magic things with actions.
Yeah. The thing that I'm looking to, basically it's more or less a enhancement to the workflow to get a user just to be able to click, 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 not have to worry about anything and go to the next. Really what I'm in this, again, it's situation dependent, but in this particular case, all I'm doing is I'm watching Patrick here, can't talk and think. There you go.
So this is in a dynamic field. So it doesn't, in the dynamic fields we don't have the nice formatting in the JavaScript. But basically, this is the code that you can copy, or not exactly, because I have
Right.
the customizations in here. But this is basically the code that you can copy when you're on an API page, which I'll go to in a second to give that context. But when you're on an API page, we have the code that you can copy, and this is pretty much exactly what you can copy from there. And so you give your data, you can tokenize your data, and then right here is where what you do with your data that you get back from the API is put in. And our code is a little bit different now, I think, as far as what it puts here. But basically, you need to access the data that's returned. You access it with that right there, and the properties you use data dot here we go, data dot seconds left, data dot percent complete, data dot total questions. And these are the things that are being returned in the JSON output of your API. These are the properties that are returned in the JSON output that you're accessing through by using data dot seconds left, data dot percent complete. So that's basically how it works. So if we go to configuration, and let's go back here. This is specifically the user test question update answer API. So we're going to go to APIs, and we'll do the test on this one. And if you scroll down here, you can see that I can copy this. I can get the JavaScript I need to run. That's the basics right there. Yes. So what I was referring to before is we now in our updated code, we're outputting the response as response. So you would use response dot whatever properties you're putting you're outputting, and then the properties that you're outputting are determined by your my actions. Oh, I'm getting confused here because I'm not seeing my response. Test question update answer. Maybe I had another API in there that because this is just doing a an update. It's not returning a response. So there must have been another one in here. I'm looking at user test progress. Sure enough, I was looking at the wrong API. So user test
progress.
This one here. So we'll edit that one. Edit it. Close, edit. All right, so yeah, so there here I am getting the information I need, and then we are returning it as JSON. And so I'm taking, these are all, so new object is JSON. I'm taking all my responses from these two queries right here and using tokens to put them into these properties here in a JSON response. And then these are the properties that I can refer to in my in the response section of that of the code.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Cool. Anybody have any questions or thoughts about it?
I'll just mention, I like what you're doing, Matt. Just making it so the user doesn't have to worry about, did I save or did I not? And, I like doing that myself. Just as a side note, I've noticed that some people get a little bit stressed about that because they're looking for the save button and they can't find it.
Yeah, and I find that myself. Like sometimes I when I'm using, not necessarily on one of our sites, but when I'm just using some other site or interface, if I don't, sometimes it just I'm like, okay, did this actually work? Did I actually change what I needed to change? Because that it's
Yeah.
so I think in some ways it's nice to maybe give a little bit of feedback to let them know that happened.
Yeah, I've been popping up a toast. And
Yeah.
in a consistently same place, and it just says saved and it goes away real quick.
Yeah. I think the more like the mobile centric UIs, there are no save buttons typically. Everything gets written immediately. So people, I think, are becoming more accustomed to that metaphor. But you could also just put a dummy save button in there too. Well, this is great, Patrick. If yeah, it would be awesome to have a campfire example if possible. That would be awesome.
I think that's a great idea. I'm surprised it's not on there already, but we'll see if we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? You're doing pretty good so far, Matt. Keeping us busy.
I think I'm done for the moment. So back to you.
Okay. So if some of you who were here last week recall, towards the end of the call, or maybe it was afterwards, I can't remember, Dennis, but Dennis was mentioning that he was having this CSS issue on his site, and we were talking to him about using zindex to correct that. And just wanted to wrap around with that. Dennis put in a ticket, and Dale assisted him and with putting in some CSS into the site CSS file that is solving the issue. Dennis, do you want to comment on it at all, or?
Okay. Yes. I have never used that custom CSS that's back in the persona bar. And I did not realize that's where I could put that little snippet of code in there that would allow me to change the Z index to where it would allow the problem we had was on our grids running under Bootstrap 5. Our menus would be behind the sticky header. The sticky header for the grids would be laying on top of, have some long menus, and it would be laying on top of it. And then, of course, too, the main problem with that is as you scroll down to select something deeper in the menu will just disappear on you because now you're hitting the sticky header. So anyway, by putting that little snippet of code in there, I was able to change the Z index because I tracked it down in Bootstrap, and Bootstrap had the sticky header Z index at 1020. And so I thought, wow, I don't want to mess with Bootstrap and go changing all that, because it
Yeah.
would probably blow something else up somewhere else in the site. So that
Yeah.
snippet of code was great for that.
So for I think most everybody on this call is familiar with this, but for the benefit of anybody who might be watching this later, just this area right here, which you access by going to the cog menu from the persona bar and choosing custom CSS, is a pretty handy place. This will load for pages that are within this portal, so it only impacts the portal. So there's a separate custom CSS for each portal. And you can see I have two portals on this site right here, so I can establish different CSS for both of them, and it will load. And it's a handy way to do something site-wide without having to go and edit some file that might be overwritten in the future. This way, you're avoiding that, and you are. And this is a pretty useful way to override classes. So this is basically what solved the issue for Dennis. Anybody have any
Right.
thoughts or?
Yeah. That was very perplexing there for a little bit, but Dale provided a great answer.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a follow-on or related question last week, which was plaguing me and it was ultimately a CSS issue. I asked the question to Dale about form field spacing in the layout. I was experiencing where forms were either the fields either touching or slightly overlapping, if you recall. Well, here's the strange. It's maybe even a ghost story, but maybe not. So I created a brand new page, put a form in, put the fields that in the same fashion, basically touching each other in a grid layout, saved it, looked at it, and they were properly spaced. Okay, that's strange because in my instance, they were touching or overlapping. So I have a standard header module, which is shared. So once I added that header module, my fields started to touch again. So I looked at the header module, all the CSS in there. What am I doing? Is there something going on there? Nothing. There was nothing in there. So even after I deleted the module, the header module, refreshed and cleared cache and whatever else, it still stayed. So it went from behaving as expected, add the module, worked, then it didn't work as expected, deleted the module, refreshed everything, still didn't work as expected. Mm-hmm. What it was this: when you copy a shared module into a new page, it takes the page.css along with it. That's where the problem was. So the page CSS had some CSS in there, which was basically adjusting the width of the forms of the fields inside the forms to touch. So even though I got rid of the module that carried the CS, go ahead. Yep.
Yeah. So it added it to the page CSS for the page where you copied it to, and then
right because it existed on the shared page where my source was.
Okay.
Which I had no idea that would happen. So once Mark and I played with it for a bit, and we were able to sleuth it out. And once I realized, okay, the page CSS is, even though I didn't put it there, when I shared the module in the page, that's what put it there, which was interesting. So
yeah, that's fascinating.
Once I went in there, either got rid of or edited that particular page CSS, the problem got resolved again. So just a little tidbit for you.
Good to know, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, because it's a fascinating one. Anybody else have any other ghost stories like that?
That could have been a ghost story.
Yeah. Well, it was a ghost story. You guys
it was for me.
Investigated and solved it.
Yep.
Thanks to Mark. He's my guy.
Detective Gilsing. Anybody else have any other thoughts about that? Right. So that's the CSS story. We have a new contribution that was put in by Dale, and this is specifically, this came up in a support ticket, and so we thought it would be worth just reviewing this on this call, just so everybody's on the same page with this, and so it's documented on YouTube when we get done. But so we have these features where we can these actions that will allow you to encrypt data and then decrypt it. So here's an example of doing an AES encryption. So we take the sentence that's in the initial text and we encrypt it, and that's the encrypted text. And then if we decrypt it, it comes back as the same thing. So what's actually, if you were to save something in the database, you could save the encrypted text and then you would decrypt it when you pull the value from the database. So that's the idea here. And we can do the same thing with RSA. So here's an RSA encryption, and if I decrypt it like that. So the question that came up was that when you do the when you use one of these actions, the encrypt action here, basically somebody was saying, okay, well, it's asking for the key, it's asking for the IV vector here. Where do I get these values? And this is when it comes in really handy to read the help text. And I know that sometimes we all gloss over that, but we actually provide a tool for you to do that. So this is really the point of this, is that if you use these encrypt and decrypt actions, there's a tool that you can click on, and it opens up these pages here. Let me go ahead and close these because the same thing, but the same page, but different based on what you choose here. So we're looking at the AES one. So if I open this, and so now I can choose the size of the encryption I want to do. So if I choose that and click generate, now I have my my vector and my key. And so these are the values I can use for the encrypt and decrypt actions. And for AES, you use the same values in both actions. For RSA, it's a little bit different. So let me go into the RSA action here, and if I open that in a new tab, and so I can choose what I want here. There's no drop down. You could just choose the key size you want. I'm just going to choose 1024. Click generate, and so now I have my public key and my private key. And then for this action, you use the public key for the encryption action, and then for the decryption, that's when you use the private key. And yeah, so that's just want to do an overview of that. I've used this in the past where I do the encryption on save the encrypted text in the database, and then when I'm pulling data out, I use the decrypt action to pull the data into a view for the user, and that way what you have saved in the database is encrypted. Anybody else have any other thoughts about that? Other experiences with using these encrypt and decrypt actions, or anything they want to add?
Was
No,
that
that's
key
very cool.
generator
Cool though.
a contribution?
I'm sorry. Say that again, Mark.
That key generator, where does that exist? Is that another Campfire contribution?
The to generate the keys? No,
Yeah.
that's what I was pointing out. It's included. It's just there. So on your instance, when you go to use this action, you click this link right here, and it opens up this on your instance. So
Okay, I looked at your URL and I saw that it said contribution, so I thought,
Yeah, no. It's just it's opening it up at the
yeah,
it's opening up at the same page where you're using the action. That's
okay,
all. But yeah,
okay, so it's built in for all of us then.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah,
Right.
on your instance, all you have to do is just go to the to load the action into a stack and then click that link right there, and it'll take you to the on on your site. It'll take you to the tool to generate the keys.
All right.
On the SQL side of things, is there anything you need to do to prepare a field to accept these encrypted values, or is it just text? Or
It's just text. Yeah, you can save it into a
okay,
text field. Yep. Keep in mind that some of the encryption keys, you may not want to use you may want to use a large text field
yep,
because they can get long, especially
yep.
the RSA ones.
Of those choices from a security standpoint, is RSA the most secure, or is there an
Um,
opinion on that?
I don't know. Actually, does anybody else want to comment on that? No, no one else wants to comment on it.
So it's just occurring to me that I've gone to great lengths to obscure what I'm throwing up into the query string when I'm going from page to page or even opening a pop-up. And it would seem that encrypting the things that I'm putting in the query string and then decrypting on the back end is maybe just another possibility that I hadn't considered.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that probably if you were going to use it for that, I'd say that my tendency would be to go with the AES, although I'm not sure this is challenging here because you have some characters here that would certainly play with your query string. So not sure
Okay.
that's so. Has anybody tried anything like that? So I'm not sure that this would work out well because just because of that.
In let me just, because I was looking some information up and typing in the chat. You're talking about encrypting, but then putting that encrypted data into the query string?
Right.
Yes. So a lot of these encryption methods are going to generate characters that are
Yeah.
invalid for URLs.
Right.
So the way I've gotten around that is after I do the encryption, then I basically add a secondary layer of obfuscation, so to speak. I convert it to base 64. Base 64
There
is
you go. Yep.
URL safe.
Yep.
So the only problem is then when you decrypt, it's kind of like a two-step decrypt. When you retrieve the information, you're going to have to do a base 64 decrypt and then do your AES or whatever decrypt after that, because what you're going to get back is then this string with the special characters, which you would then have to decrypt that.
And do you use the token for that?
Sometimes depends on where it's being used and needed. I do have, like, I think I created an encryption token that kind of does both pieces for me. Let me just what do I have here?
Then what does that base 64 result look like? Is it really long and ugly or not?
Uh, kind of. It's just basically going to be nothing but numbers and letters, no special characters. But it can make it longer than the original encryption.
So yeah, here's a basic example. So we could actually we could use this token. I don't want to play with Dale's setup here, but we could use this token to basically take this and convert it to base 64, and then that would be, and you can see, the example here, that is certainly something that's much more friendly to pass along in a URL. So I think that actually, I like that that solution, Ben. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Leave it to Ben.
And
I
the
will
tools are
just make
and the tools are here for you. So you have the encrypt and decrypt actions, and you have a token that you can use to encode into base 64. Go ahead, Ben.
yeah, I was just gonna say I just wanted to throw out one little caveat to the whole idea of encrypting and decrypting data in the database. Just keep in mind how you want to display the data later. And what I mean by that is if you're going to encrypt data into your tables, which is fine, if let's say that data needs to be displayed in a grid, then decrypting the data at the web server level may not be the way you want to go. So in other words, the AES decrypt and stuff like that, those are not probably the routes you want to go with the grid because it's going to be notoriously slower for the web server to do the decrypting of every single row. And depending on how much decrypting it has to do, your grids are going to take a very long time to load. Those are things that you want to do at the SQL database level. So what you would rather do is create a stored procedure where you pass it your encryption algorithm, whatever that may be, have SQL do the decrypting, and then send the unencrypted information to your grid. That way you can display it. Let the SQL Server do all of the hard lifting. That way your web server isn't the one doing it.
Good to know, Ben.
Or if and I always like to offer like options that are very low code. Something else you could do is just keep in mind that that you only show that data if somebody, you create a UI for somebody to show that data, and then that way it only gets the decryption only gets run if they actually click a button to show it. So that would be another option you could do. That would be, all front end low code. Cool. Well, we have taken that right down to the line, and we Jim, thanks for joining us. I missed it. Anyway, Jim's already saying that he's going, so we're gonna go ahead and roll on down to the end here. I think we got plenty of the ghost stories in, so I'm gonna just point that out. So anyway, thank you all for joining me here, and we will stick around afterwards for the afterglow if you'd like, and we really appreciate all the participation, and until next time, happy low coding, everybody.